Okay, and we're live. All
Hi.
right. Today we have Heather Huhman with Love of Learning, and we're going to be going over some leprechaun trivia and doing some activities for St. Patrick's Day. So you are going to be able to get access to all of the slides for this presentation as well, so that you can be able to go through it with your kids at your own pace after the live class. So we're gonna wait for everyone to get on here, and I'll go ahead and start sharing those slides there so you can have them as well.
Great. Thank you. I hope my power doesn't go out. We've had quite the windstorm today, so hopefully we don't have any issues. But as you join, I'd love to hear where you're from, how many people are watching from your device, and how old everybody is, just to get a sense of who's joining us today. And if I ever look this way, it's because that's where that's where I'm watching where the comments are. My screen is normally the front, but the comments are on the side here. So apologies for seeming to look away and be distracted. I'm not checking my phone. Oh goodness. Um, so just to talk to you guys about what is going to happen today, as Amelia mentioned, I have a presentation. It's going to be sort of Jeopardy style trivia. I am not going to be doing it Jeopardy style. I'm just going to kind of go row by row, and you'll see what I mean in a minute. I recommend downloading the free craft as well. If you haven't already, it's in the description of the event, and you can be working on that at the same time if you would like. You can work on it after, really up to you. I think all of this is fairly flexible. We can do whatever you would like here. I will go through the presentation somewhat fast just because I don't have a truly live audience in front of me giving me feedback. But each question is worth a certain number of points. So going by the honors system, keeping track of the ones that you get right and how many points each one is worth. And you can add up at the very end to see who in your household is the grand prize winner in terms of the trivia today. Now, Amelia, I'm not getting any comments. Is that accurate? I'm not seeing anything.
Yeah, I see that we have 8 viewers that are joining us live. If you guys can go ahead and comment, make sure that you can hear us. Let us know where you're joining from and how many people are joining from your computer. Oh, we now have 11 and
Okay,
14. We've got people coming in now.
there we go. All right. Well, hopefully, hopefully people got the main message. All right, perfect. Yeah, I was starting to get worried. Normally, people are pretty chatty in the in the beginning. All right. Well,
All right, I'm going to go ahead and share the link to the
perfect.
slides so that you guys can have that. Like she said, there are some additional games that you can play with this presentation with your family. So here, I'm sending the link to the slides, and then I'm also going to send you guys a link to the activity as well.
I find that the learners that I work with outside of this, I do I do live classes every day, and I find that they like to keep their hands busy while they're interacting with me. So if you and your young learners are the same way, by all means, feel free to be working on the craft while we do this. But I think if it's okay with you, Amelia, I think I'm going to get started.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and add the slides to the stream. We've
Perfect. So we are going to be doing trivia about the history of leprechauns. Now, I will say that I learned so much while researching this. It's kind of incredible. I will also say, too, that this entire presentation ties into my informative writing product that is specific for leprechauns, words you never thought you'd say. And it has writing prompts and it takes you step by step through the informative writing process. And it includes a lot of the information that is here today in terms of facts that you can be writing about. But anyway, without further ado, make sure that you are keeping track of the number of points that you get based on right answers. And at the very end, whether the end is with us live or back at your household not live because we didn't get through it or you had to drop off, and see who wins. All right. Our first question is under the legends category, and this is for 100 points. Each of these questions, by the way, is going to be true or false. I figure that keeps it nice and simple. So, first one, the leprechaun stories we hear today have been passed down from generation to generation, never changing from the original story. So, think about that for a second. Oh, you're welcome for the link. I know. I've always been curious about leprechauns too, and you wouldn't believe it. I'm hoping that this is a fun type of educational. All right. So, solution. Hopefully you picked an answer. This is false. So, while these stories have been passed down from generation to generation, there are so many versions of the legend. And we are going to go through a couple of them and how it's changed over time. So if you got that right by saying false, you now have 100 points. The next legends question is worth 200 points. So true or false? According to the original legend, we're still on the original legend here, leprechauns were secretive and reclusive, so living on their own, shoemakers living deep in the forest. What do you think? True or false? They were secretive and very reclusive, living on their own, shoemakers living deep in the forest.
I think that this one is true.
Yes, please join in. Feel free to answer. This one is true. Amelia was indeed right about this one.
And Kathy, you also got the correct answer. Good job.
Yes. All I see is Facebook users. So I apologize that I don't have anybody's names. It's unfortunate, but that's where we are here. So Kathy, fantastic. You got it right. That one's true.
And Marion as well. Good job.
Woo! Yay! This next one is worth 300 points. Again, we're sticking with the original legend for right now. They loved music and dancing, often shown playing the fiddle and other instruments. What do you think? For 300 points, loved music and dancing, often shown playing the fiddle and other instruments. All right.
Let's see.
Do you have any thoughts on this one? What do you think?
Okay, they think that we've got Marion thinks that it is true. Nicole thinks it's not false. Lindsay thinks it's true. Ruby thinks it's false.
Split down the middle.
Really split.
All right, for 300 points, folks. Let's see. This one is true. True, true, true. Music loving, dancing loving. The leprechauns were. Okay, now we are going to move the legend forward a little bit. Over time, people began to believe that leprechauns could transform into different creatures. This is for 400 points. Over time, people began to believe that leprechauns could transform into different creatures. What do we think here? I'm going to move this a little bit so I can see a little bit better.
I'm going to say false. Oh, it looks like that one. Several people. Let's see here.
Oh man, I'm seeing stuff split again.
Nicole, Sheelin, Marianne, they're saying false. Kathy thinks it's false.
All
And
right, guys. Let's see. Looks like now it's a majority false. For 400 points, this is true.
oh,
This is true. So, this is one of the ones that I didn't know until I extensively researched leprechauns. So at this point, I know,
nice save,
right?
Nicole.
um, yeah, wait, not true. All right, so they could now transform into other creatures and also turn invisible. So they have evolved into something else than they originally were. That music playing, shoemaking, forest living creature is no longer. The last one in Legends for a whopping 500. So from the beginning, so from the original legend, leprechauns were depicted as mischievous and thought to have a pot of gold at the end of a rainbow. What do you guys think? From the beginning, depicted as little tricksters and thought to have a pot of gold at the end of a rainbow. Okay, we've got a true. I think it's always delayed for me, so you might be seeing it before me. True. True. Okay. I think we're getting a consensus here. People think this one is true. All right. For 500 points, this one is false. Not part of the original legend. So this is something that really came over time. This is actually quite recent in terms of leprechaun legends. The pot of gold is now the leprechaun's greatest treasure, and they're going to go to really big lengths to protect it. So at this point, they began to believe that leprechauns would play tricks on humans in order to protect that pot of gold, especially to the humans that were unkind to them, which frankly, I understand. If someone is being unkind to you, I don't know. I get you, man. Makes sense to me. But yeah, this is a really, really new part of the leprechaun legend. I'm really just Nicole's kid. Thank you for clarifying. All right, so now we are going to go into appearance, looks. This is going to be, we're back at the 100 point level. So even though leprechauns are often depicted as elderly men, there are both male and female leprechauns. Do we think that there are both male and female leprechauns, even though we almost always see them as old men? All right, we think true, true.
This one could go either way for me. I really don't know.
Yeah. Up, we got a false, the true. I think some people may be changing their answers as they go. All right, guys, be prepared to be shocked. There are no female leprechauns. I had no idea. They're always old men. They just like come out that way. Old men. There aren't even like young male leprechauns. Always old men. So there you have it. You knew it.
Yep, Eli.
I know.
Eli knew.
Totally one I would have gotten wrong. I had no idea, but no female leprechauns, just little old men. That was for 100, by the way. All right, so this is looks for 200. Leprechauns are often seen carrying a harp or a flute because of their love of music. Yes, they're always old men. I know, right? Got to just clarify that one. Yep, always old men. Which is unfortunate. The craft I gave you is quite a spry young man. So apologies for that. I am limited by the clip art I am given. And yeah, no one makes them as old men. So sorry about that.
I agree, Marian. This is a lot of fun.
All right. So for 200, they're often seen carrying a harp or a flute because of their love of music. Oh, you guys are like,
I think
like
this
whatever I
question.
think, I'm going to say the other thing. It's the sense I'm getting at this point. All right, you guys are right. This is false. So they are often seen carrying a wooden walking stick called I think it's called a shillelagh. I think. I should have checked the pronunciation. My apologies. But remember, they're old men, so the walking stick helps them, and so they're definitely not carrying around like large instruments like a harp. uh, yeah, makes sense now, right? Okay, so that was for 200 points. The next one is looks for 300 points. Leprechauns are about 5 to 6 inches tall and move quickly and quietly. What do we think? 5 to 6 inches tall and move quickly and quietly.
I think this one may be true.
With some exclamation points.
We have
just to make sure.
That's Celia with the multiple exclamation marks.
All right, guys. They can move quickly and quietly, but they are only 2 to 3 inches tall at the most.
Oh.
So they are much, much, much shorter than 5 to 6. Although, frankly, if they're invisible, I mean, they could be 50 feet tall. Would it matter? But only 2 to 3 inches tall at the most. I know, tricky, right? So I thought they were taller. I know. Trust me. Like I said, I would have absolutely failed this trivia if I had been on the other end of this. All right. So that was looks for 300. The next one, looks for 400. A leprechaun's clothes are often decorated with green buttons and buckles. So just to clarify, the buckles would also be green in this. I was trying to avoid repeating the word green, but green buttons and green buckles.
I'm going to say that it's false.
Okay.
That's what I think.
We're getting kind of split in the comments.
Yeah, we are.
Like. Every other comment is true, false, true, false.
And Kathy has a bunch of like detective emojis. She's not sure.
Nobody be Googling this, by the way. When I see a detective emoji, I feel like you're looking this up. All right, let's find out what color they are. They are gold. I felt like this one fit in here just under looks. They have red hair and red beards always. So if you are decorating your leprechaun right now, it may not be an old man, but it does have red hair and a red beard and gold buttons, gold buckles. So keep that in mind. All right, that was for 400. I love how shocked people are. That's the fun part, honestly. All right, so final in the looks category for 500. In early leprechaun stories, they were described as dressing in red and wearing 3-cornered hats. What do we think? Got a yes, I think, so far. False. All right, so we're split.
Sarah believes it's false.
False.
Alyssa also.
No, false.
Katrina says no.
We only got one true false so far. All right.
Ash thinks it's false. Lindsay thinks it's false.
All right. My kids are split. All right. Well, whichever kid said true, they are correct. So all right. At some point, there was a switch in Ireland where red started as the lucky color, and a switch happened and green became the lucky color. So they stopped wearing the red, and then the 3-pointed hats, they took over with a top hat, and they started wearing green because that became the lucky color. So if you ever... I know, right? If you ever see a leprechaun wearing red, still valid, just referring to the old legend. I'm the kid in the profile picture. I can't see anything. Amelia, I think, can, but all I see is Facebook user and like
Well, Facebook icon.
a generic, yeah, icon. All right, we are moving into the trapping category. Real quick before I get started, Amelia, is it okay if we go over a little bit? I mean, it's not like it's going to be double or anything, but do I have to stop at like 6:30 on the dot?
No, we can. This is for 45 minutes to an hour, so we're at 19 minutes, so we're good to go.
Okay, I've been like in my head limiting these to 30. All right, good to know. Good to know moving forward. Okay, trapping for 100. A couple of you have already read ahead. All right, so according to Irish folklore, catching a leprechaun will grant you one wish in exchange for its freedom. Looks like we've, like I said, a couple of people have already read ahead of me while I was asking a question. True. How many trues have there been so far? Is this one split?
We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Looks like 7 trues, a couple like 4 or 5 false. Yeah, so it's like.
All right, guys, this is trapping for 100. This is false. So it's actually, they're like little genies, really. They will grant you 3 wishes in exchange for your freedom. So like I said, yeah, tiny little genies. And I will come back to the 3 wishes reference later. So kind of keep that in the back of your mind because there's a reason for that. So yeah, original legend, 3 wishes. Next. All right, trapping questions. Trapping for 200. In some versions of the legend, leprechauns are said to make deals and negotiate rather than grant wishes. So sometimes they will haggle with you as opposed to giving you 3 wishes. Oh, too funny.
Kathy was very shocked. So I'm going to guess that this one is true.
Okay. So, all right. No.
It's like Katrina says no. Corinne says no. Lindsay and Eli think that it might be
mind
true.
Blown. All right. Okay, so you are correct. This one is just true. I have nothing else to really add about that. This one is true. Some of them will negotiate with you or make a deal instead of granting wishes. Clearly, you should be careful about both the wishes and the negotiating because at this point, when they are doing this, they become very tricky, very smart. And in general, the the rules of like genie wishing, you got to be very careful about what you're saying. So same deal with leprechauns. All right, that was for 200. All right, so this one's for 300. There is only one kind of leprechaun trap, like official leprechaun trap, placing a box or a container on the ground and propping it up with a stick. This the official, I don't know, like the official approved leprechaun trap. Let's see what people say about this. No. What do we think? People are thinking hard about this one.
If you have the comments turned off for the post, it's because there's been over 200 comments in the last 15 minutes. So just go ahead and reload the page. And I went ahead and re-enabled those for everyone. So if you're having issues with that, just go ahead and reload and you will get that turned back on.
Oh my gosh. I didn't realize we were at that many. Hopefully I can't refresh. So
you're good.
I'm good.
All right. Back in here.
All right. Well, I will not put you in suspense any longer. This one is false. There are actually 4 main kinds. The classic box, which is what I was just describing there, a pit, a net, and a decoy. So that was for 300. 4 different kinds of traps, not one kind. So it was false. All right. Oops. Sorry about that. Trapping for 400 points. The net and decoy traps are the most effective, but require more materials and effort than the other traps. Traps 101. Yes.
Finally.
Right. I love that comment. Perhaps the best of the night. All right. The net and decoy traps are the most effective, but require more materials and effort than other traps. No, no, no. I wonder if that's like 3 no's is in like they're really disagreeing or if there are 3 people at the computer. Like just vehemently disagreeing. All right. I'm just going to give this one up. Hopefully we're ready. This one is true. So I had never heard of a net or a decoy trap before this. I'm not going to say any more because it'll give away it'll give away the answer to the next one. So yeah, I'll say more on the next one. Just yeah. So that was for 400 for those of you who got that one right.
I knew it. That's what they said.
Like I said, we're going by the honors system here. So, all right, true or false? The decoy trap involves making a fake leprechaun to lure a real leprechaun. What do we think? 500. The decoy trap involves making a fake leprechaun to lure a real leprechaun. What do we think? True. Okay. You haven't been keeping up with the points. It's all right. It's all just fun.
I think that this one might actually be, I think this one might be false, actually. I don't know. What do you guys think?
It seems like we're a little split.
Yeah.
A little split. Especially if the false one really is there are like 3 people.
Mm-hmm.
Question mark. No idea.
Eli doesn't know.
As the kids in my class will do, there's thumbs up for true, thumbs down for false, and this for I have absolutely no idea. Okay, so this one really got me. So yes, this is true.
Oh.
So there are 2 ways to do a decoy trap. Sometimes it involves a fake pot of gold, which that's what I grew up thinking, like because pot of gold is like their thing, right? That's really what they're interested in. And frankly, their biggest and potentially only interest is this pot of gold. So you lure them with your own pot of gold. But apparently, also putting up a little fake old man will lure them. I don't know. I asked my kids and they seem to think that this was, yeah, of course you lure a leprechaun with another leprechaun. I have no super awesome explanation for that other than this sentence right here. Feels like Halloween. Yeah, I know, right? Just put out your fake leprechauns. Now you know what to do for, what is it, Friday? You can make your fake leprechaun and put it out, and maybe that will trap it in your box that you make. I don't know. All right, so that was for 500 for those of you. For those of you who are keeping score. All right, so now we're actually in the final section. I think random facts. These are things that like didn't fit under any other category. So random facts. All right, true or false? Leprechauns are the bankers of the fairy world. True or false? We got a true, a false. I think these are for this question. the thumb where we don't totally know.
Eli also does not know the answer on that one. Sarah says that it's split 50-50 with her kids.
False. Yeah. True. I think we have it almost even split here.
Yeah.
Okay. So facts for 100. This is true. All right. So I had to do a little bit more digging for this one because we talked earlier about them being cobblers, shoemakers, right? They're living off in the forest, just making tons of shoes. But apparently they're also, first of all, they're fairies. I did not know this. Perhaps this is common knowledge among other people, but they are fairies. They are a type of fairy. So you would have lost me there with fairy. I would have thought that was the trick of that question. But apparently they are also expert bankers, which kind of makes sense because they're really into the gold and hoarding it. So if you were to entrust your money with someone, you'd probably trust someone who, saves money as opposed to like randomly spending it. So yeah, they handle the fairy treasures that all the other fairies have and make sure that they're like investing in the right stock. I'm not really sure. But yeah, they manage the wealth of the fairies. And I know, right? Yes, they're fairies. See, that's where you would have lost me with this question. So they make shoes and they manage all the wealth of the fairy world. So yeah, totally wild. That was facts for 100. All right, let's see. Facts for 200.
Sorry that you're having
Leprechauns.
issues there, Miss May. If you can go ahead and reload, you probably will be able to hear the audio again.
Oh no. It's a good thing.
Okay.
Hopefully they can read the screen. All right. So facts for 200. Leprechauns may live underwater. Did we think? I guess they're fairies. Yep. So leprechauns may live underwater. False from both kids. Who else has a thought about this one? False, false,
Ruby says
false.
false. Elizabeth says false. I
No
personally,
way.
yeah, Brenda says no. Oma says no. Corinne. So it looks like that everyone universally thinks, and Eli, he says no way.
You are universally incorrect. So,
Really?
all right. So this goes back to a very old legend. So, sadly, I have not like memorized this story, so I'm gonna kind of read. All right. So in the Middle Ages, we're like way back now. There was a king, and it was said that he was napping on a beach, and out of the water came three creatures that they named. I'm not even going to try to pronounce this, but this thing that has been translated now into leprechaun. They weren't super nice. They grabbed hold of him and tried to grab him into the water. Story gets kind of dark, but he got the upper hand. Gee, I can't imagine why. They're 2 to 3 inches tall. Three of them are not. And so he captured them, but he decided to be kind to them. So instead of punishing them, he granted them 3 wishes. Now, how I read this is that more like requests rather than magical wishes.
Mm-hmm.
That's just how I read it. But now I mentioned before that like remember the 3 wishes part. That's where the 3 wishes part comes from. And
Interesting.
right? Yeah. And so this is actually not the only story about them living underwater. There are a bunch. I just grabbed this one because I liked the tie-in to the 3 wishes. But that is, yeah, they could also live underwater. So I did not know that. Mind blowing. Yeah, I know, right? The things you thought you'd never learn. All right. So that was facts for 200. Let's go for facts for 300. What do we got here? All right. According to folklore, St. Patrick said that each leaf in a shamrock stands for something: faith, hope, and love. So each leaf in a shamrock stands for something: faith, hope, and love. And now you'll often see leprechauns, including the one I gave you, I believe, have a shamrock somewhere on their person. I think the one I gave you may have it on their hat. I can't remember. All right.
I feel
So,
like it looks like most people think this is true, and I do. Oh, and then we do have one person who thinks it's false. One
all
kid.
right.
But I would say that I think it might be true.
Yes. So, what tripped up other people is that a shamrock is not a 4-leaf clover. Another thing I did not know, I thought they were the exact same thing. A shamrock has 3 leaves. Correct. Leaf stands for Trinity. Exactly. So shamrock has 3 leaves, and a 4-leaf clover clearly has 4 leaves. I always thought a shamrock had 4 leaves. So yes, this one is true. Faith, love, and hope. Exactly. Has to do with the St. Patrick and the Trinity. Try to keep religion for the most part out of this. But yes, because of this, they're often seen wearing shamrocks as a symbol of good luck. So That is the story behind shamrocks and leprechauns. That was for 300. I I'm trying to figure out if the what was from like also not knowing
That
shamrock and a clover were
before
like
I think
two
so,
different
yeah.
things. All right. So this one involves a little bit of explanation on my part. So the European Union, does everyone know what the European, I don't know like what the general knowledge of what the European Union is. But it's something that like a coordination between governments across Europe, I think is like maybe the best simple explanation. Um, there is a mountain in Europe called, oh, geez, you see it on the screen. I'm so bad at pronouncing like actual names. So they declared it as an official sanctuary for leprechauns. Yeah, I know. I'm sorry about the European Union. That's the best explanation I have. So they're yes, it's like I don't know, Amelia, if you can do better than me. It's like an international like group working together of governments in Europe of like the
Kind
different
of how
countries.
the states of the United States are
Right.
all united. The European Union is
There you
all
go.
of the different countries are equivalent to like the states in the United States, and so they're
There you
all
go.
working together to make decisions that affect them all.
Perfect. Excellent. I feel like between the two of us, maybe we did that. All right. So that's who potentially designated this very specific mountain a sanctuary for leprechauns. One kid said true, another kid said false. All right, let's see what this is. Facts for 400. So this is true. Leprechauns have always been part of Irish folklore. So, this special protection granted to them really helps keep that folklore alive. And it's very just important to Irish culture. So, yeah, there is a special sanctuary for leprechauns on a mountain in Europe. So,
How
feel
fun.
free. I know, right? Feel free to Google the mountain afterwards and learn exactly where it is. I feel like that could be a story all by itself. But that was facts for 400. Excuse me. Last question. Facts for 500. All right. Since the legend's origin, the leprechaun legend, St. Patrick's Day and leprechauns have always been connected to each other. What
Okay,
do we
what do you
think?
guys think? It looks like people are starting to tally their points as well.
Oh, good. Yes. Tally, tally, tally. What do we think?
So we've got one person, Brittany, says that she thinks it's false. Ruby thinks that it is true. Katrina, false. Oma, false. Corinne, false. So we're starting to get Nicole. Oh, sorry. Eli says it's true. Nancy says false. Totally.
Okay. All right. It seems a little split. All right. So the reason for this might not be what you think. All right. So it is false, first of all. And St. Patrick's Day is in commemoration of a real like person, a person, St. Patrick. And leprechauns are part of Irish culture, just like St. Patrick is. And we associate the two together here in America. And there are other parts of the world that do as well. However, the holiday and leprechauns have never had a direct connection with one another. This one I wanted to end on because it blew my mind. I had no idea that they're working in like parallel paths as
Mm-hmm.
opposed to crossover paths. The two have really nothing to do with each other. We've just associated them together. So that is the fact that I want to leave you on. I had no idea. So um so yeah, history of leprechauns, their legends, a little bit of more recent stuff. But that is the last question for 500. And so well done, regardless of your score, because definitely a tricky one. Lots of tricky questions in there. Not that I was trying to like be fancy and trick you, but like there's just like things you just never thought you'd need to know. Lost count. That's okay. You do have the link. So if you want to go back and if you remember what you answered for each one, you can tally it up later.
Mhm.
So that is always a possibility. Oh man, 51. I feel like that can't possibly be true. They were only worth whole numbers. There's something going on with that one. 10,050 only whole numbers here. So something went wrong in the math. Math is not my strong suit either. So 1,020 again. We had numbers between 100 and 500 for each column. So you don't know your score. Totally fine. This is not an actual quiz. All right. So someone asked if there was a printout. Yes and no. So there is a free download, which I don't know, Amelia, if you want to drop the link again, because it is linked in the event description.
Yes.
But there is a free download. There is a leprechaun that you can put together. Um, I don't know. Maybe you can somehow like put wrinkles on it so it looks slightly older than its clearly very spry self. 30. See, there you go. 3,600. That is a possible number that you could get. So anyway, so that there's a craft in there. However, this is from a larger product, which is my informative writing about leprechauns. Amelia, if you want to drop the link to my St. Patrick's Day stuff.
Yeah, I
There
can
is
take that.
also a coupon code. So if you use the coupon code at checkout, it's 15% off of the St. Patrick's Day stuff. So all of them. But it's only good for 24 hours. So if you are watching the replay later than that, I apologize, but it's only good for the next 24 hours. So if you plan to buy any St. Patrick's Day stuff for my store, now is the time. But the one you're looking for this, um,
The slides
the slides.
are available. I do have a link to those. I just
Yes.
dropped the link,
Yes.
and we have the link to the St. Patrick's Day printables where you get an exclusive 15% off with the coupon code that is in the video right now. If you're looking for the printable, I'm going to go ahead and drop the link for that as well. And that both of these will, the sale and the printable will only be available for the next 24 hours. So be sure to take a look if you enjoyed the activities, and go ahead and take a look at the other options that she has on Love of Learning.
All right. Well, thank you so much. This was great. Now that I know I can go longer, I will in the future.
Fantastic. And please go ahead and give us a heart on the live video if you enjoyed this class, and so that you can let Heather know and give her support to do more fun classes.
Oh, yes. Thank you so much. It looks like people had fun, which makes me so happy.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us again, Heather. I just want to let everyone know that Heather is going to be doing a monthly live class, probably for the whole rest of the year. So if you enjoyed this class, be sure to go and check out the other events that we have and say that you are going to be going to them. We're going to be releasing the different topics really soon.
Yes, absolutely. Topics to be determined coming soon.
All right. Thank you for joining us live. And I hope that anybody who's watching this on the replay, you can go ahead and answer the questions as well as it goes through the live video so that you can participate as well. We'll see you next time.
Bye. Have a good night.